Alina's makeshift command center buzzed with nervous energy as May's fingers flew across 3 keyboards simultaneously. Satellite feeds, intercepted communications, and atmospheric readings scrolled across the wall of screens. The Vrolnak ultimatum had given humanity 72 hours. They had used 48 already. There, Alina pointed at a screen showing time-lapse footage of Vrolnak ships repositioning over Mumbai. Run it again, quarter speed. Raj adjusted his glasses, squinting at the display. I see it now. Every movement is identical to the millisecond. No human fleet could maintain that precision. Outside their converted storage room, the military base descended into organized chaos. Generals argued over surrender terms while technicians frantically tried to restore defensive systems disabled by Vrolnak electronic warfare. No one paid attention to Alina's small team, which suited her perfectly. I've identified 6 distinct movement patterns, May announced, her voice hoarse from 20 hours without sleep. They rotate through them in perfect sequence, never deviating. Alina paced the narrow space between servers. They're not making decisions, they're executing programs. It's like watching a chess computer, not a living opponent. A sharp knock interrupted her thoughts. Captain Laura Jong entered, carrying a tray of coffee and sandwiches. Whatever you're doing, make it quick. General Phillips is ordering all personnel to evacuation stations at 600. Alina grabbed her sister's arm. We need more time. Laura hesitated, then lowered her voice. There's something you should see. She inserted a data drive into May's terminal. I was monitoring deep space communications when this came through. The screen displayed a complex energy signature emanating from Jupiter's orbit. The reading pulsed in a distinctive rhythm that exactly matched the movement patterns of the Vrolnak ships. It's a beacon, Alina breathed. A central command point coordinating the entire fleet. Raj's eyes widened. If they all receive instructions from one source, then that source is a critical vulnerability. Alina finished. But we'd need to understand how they communicate to exploit it. Laura checked her watch. I have to get back. Phillips has authorized nuclear launches at 5:30 as a last resort. After she left, Alina slammed her fist against the wall. Nukes won't work. Their shields absorbed a direct hit over Beijing without a scratch. May looked up from her terminal, eyes suddenly bright. I've been analyzing their communication signals. They're using quantum frequencies we've only theorized about. Instantaneous transmission across any distance. That explains their perfect coordination, Raj said. But how does this help us? Alina's expression shifted as the pieces fell into place. Quantum communication requires perfect coherence. Any disruption creates cascading errors. May nodded excitedly. And their ships rely on constant instruction. They don't appear to have independent decision-making capabilities. So if we could disrupt their communication channel, Raj began. We could throw their entire invasion force into disarray. Alina finished, a dangerous smile forming. We don't need to outgun them. We just need to introduce a little chaos into their perfect system. The base alarm sounded, signaling 4 hours until evacuation. Alina gathered her team close. We have until morning to develop a strategy that exploits their psychological weakness. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our unpredictability. Our ability to make illogical choices that somehow work. The Vrolnak think in perfect patterns. She looked at each of them in turn. Let's show them what happens when those patterns break. Dr. Okavar's hands trembled as he adjusted the quantum receiver. The Saharan facility, once bustling with researchers, now housed only him and a handful of graduate students who'd refused evacuation. Sweat beaded on his forehead, despite the lab's cooling systems. Recording another transmission, called out Farida, his most promising student. Same frequency as yesterday. The receiver hummed, capturing alien communications as indecipherable patterns of light on a specialized crystal matrix. After 3 days of continuous monitoring, Okafor had identified the mathematical structure underlying the signals, but something still eluded him. It's like they're speaking in pure mathematics, he muttered, adjusting his glasses. No redundancy, no error correction. Just perfect transmission. A distant rumble shook dust from the ceiling. The Vrelnak had discovered their facility despite its deep underground location and sophisticated camouflage. It was only a matter of time before they breached the outer defenses. Professor, Farida called, her voice tight with urgency. I've isolated something unusual. She transferred her findings to the main display. Okafor stared at the data in disbelief. That's impossible. What is it? Asked Chen Wei, another student monitoring perimeter sensors. The quantum entanglement isn't just carrying instructions, it's carrying consciousness. Okafor's voice dropped to a whisper. The Vrelnak aren't controlling their ships remotely. They're asterisk experiencing asterisk through them collectively. On the other side of the world, Alina's team raced through the flooded subway tunnels beneath what remained of London. Their food truck had attracted Vrelnak attention after the Cairo observations, forcing them to abandon it for less conspicuous transportation. 3 minutes until the defense grid activates, Raj warned, checking his watch as they splashed through knee-deep water. They reached a heavy steel door marked with faded radiation symbols, an entrance to a Cold War-era command bunker now serving as headquarters for European resistance forces. After biometric scans confirmed their identities, they entered a cavernous room filled with salvaged equipment and grim-faced military personnel. Commander Chen, General Wallace nodded curtly. I hope you have something useful. We've lost Dublin and Barcelona in the last 6 hours. Alina connected her data drive to the central system. We've identified a potential weakness, sir. The Vrelnak respond to unexpected tactical shifts with measurable delays. The main screen displayed footage from the Cairo engagement. Alina highlighted a sequence where Egyptian forces, cut off from command, had executed an unplanned withdrawal pattern. Here minus 3.7 seconds of complete inaction before the aliens adjusted. She switched to another recording. And again in Mumbai when civilians broke through containment in a non-linear escape wrote minus 4.2 seconds of hesitation. Wallace frowned. That's your big discovery. A few seconds of delay. Sir, in modern warfare, 4 seconds is an eternity, Raj interjected. It suggests they can't improvise responses to situations outside their tactical programming. Before Wallace could respond, a communications officer interrupted. General, we're receiving a transmission from North Africa. A Dr. Marcus Okafor. Alina's eyes widened. Put him through immediately. The screen flickered to show Okafor's face, streaked with dust and sweat. Behind him, emergency lights flashed as explosions rocked his facility. Commander Chen, he said urgently, I've discovered how they communicate, and it's beyond anything we imagined. They don't just share information, they share a singular consciousness across all vessels. How is that possible? Wallace demanded. Quantum biological interfaces, Okafor replied as another explosion shook his camera. And I believe I've found a way to disrupt it. Elena waded through the wreckage of the Vrelnak scout ship, careful not to disturb the strange biological interfaces that still pulsed with faint light. The creature in the pilot chamber resembled an oversized praying mantis, its exoskeleton iridescent under emergency lighting. Multiple compound eyes stared sightlessly at the ceiling, but the neural tendrils connecting it to the ship still twitched with residual activity. The hurricane didn't just disrupt their navigation, Mai whispered, examining her readings. It created electromagnetic interference that temporarily severed its connection to the hive mind. She pointed to crystalline nodes embedded in the creature's thorax. These are biological quantum receivers, adapted into their very evolution. Dr. Okafor had arrived 2 hours earlier, his research facility destroyed but his crucial data saved. He worked beside Raj, adapting their translation software to interface with the aliens' neural patterns. I've never seen biology and technology so completely integrated, Okafor murmured. Their species must have evolved alongside their machines for millennia. The dying Vrelnak pilot emitted a high-pitched keening as Elena approached. Its mandibles clicked rapidly, producing sounds no human throat could replicate. The translation matrix on May's tablet converted the sounds to text. Asterisk query. Status of collective. Query. Connection restoration timeline. Asterisk. It's asking about the hive mind, May translated. It doesn't understand why it can't connect. Alina leaned closer. Ask it about their tactical objectives. May entered the query. The alien's response appeared immediately. Asterisk statement. Objective is resource acquisition and species propagation. Query. Why request known information asterisk? It doesn't understand why I'm asking something it thinks I already know, May explained. The concept that we might need information they possess is completely foreign to them. Raj looked up from his console. Try asking it how they plan to defeat our defenses. When May entered this query, the Vrelnak's biological systems surged with activity. Its eyes pulsed rapidly, and the translation matrix displayed. Asterisk error. Query contains invalid concept. Query. Clarification required asterisk. Raj studied the neural readings. The brainwave patterns show confusion. It literally cannot process the question. Let me try something, Alina said, taking the tablet. She typed carefully. Query. What strategies do you employ when the enemy provides incorrect information? The alien's reaction was immediate and dramatic. Its entire body convulsed, and the ship's interfaces flickered wildly. The translation matrix displayed only error symbols before shutting down completely. The cognitive dissonance overloaded its neural systems, Okafor said, checking his instruments. The very concept of deliberately false information seems to be incompatible with their mental framework. Alina stared at the now still alien, understanding dawning across her features. Their entire civilization functions on perfect information sharing. There's no evolutionary advantage to deception when everyone shares the same mind. She turned to her team, eyes bright with realization. They can't conceive of lying because they've never needed to. It would be like lying to yourself. Raj nodded slowly. Which means they have no defenses against it. Their strategic algorithms won't account for deliberate misinformation. More than that, May added, reviewing the neural data. The cognitive response suggests exposure to contradictory information might actually damage their collective processing capacity. Alina's phone buzzed with an encrypted message from General Wallace. Vrelnak forces converging on New Orleans. Evacuation impossible. You have 3 hours. She looked at her team, determination hardening her features. We need to get this information to command immediately. We've just found the key to fighting an enemy that's never faced deception. We'll give them a crash course in humanity's oldest weapon, the strategic lie. General Wallace's skepticism was palpable in the crowded underground command center. Senior officers exchanged dubious glances as Alina completed her presentation on Operation Discordance. Let me get this straight, Commander, Wallace said, pinching the bridge of his nose. You want us to abandon conventional military doctrine and instead confuse the enemy with lies. Alina stood her ground. With respect, sir, conventional doctrine has cost us 17 major cities and millions of lives. The Vrelnak outmatch us technologically in every category. But they have a critical weakness we can exploit. Dr. Okafor stepped forward, his prototype quantum interference device displayed on the central table. The size of a microwave oven, it hummed softly as crystalline components shifted within. This device, he explained, can inject noise into their communication network. Not enough to sever connections completely, but sufficient to introduce subtle contradictions and false data points. Admiral Hassan laughed bitterly. So your miracle strategy is to give these bugs a headache. Alina activated a holographic display showing neural readings from the captured Vrelnak. This is their brain activity when exposed to contradictory information. Note the harmonic disruption across these synaptic clusters. She switched to another image. And here's what happened when we introduced a simple logical paradox into their translation matrix. Their entire neural network nearly collapsed. Wallace studied the data with narrowed eyes. Even if this works on a single specimen, their collective intelligence might compensate. That's exactly what we're counting on, Raj interjected. The collective magnifies both strengths and weaknesses. When one Vrelnak receives contradictory information, it triggers verification protocols across the entire network. Like an immune response, Okafor added. But if multiple contradictions are introduced simultaneously across different sectors, the verification systems overload. Elena finished, creating windows of opportunity where their decision-making is compromised. Wallace remained unconvinced until Captain Rodriguez stepped forward. The Brazilian resistance leader's face bore fresh burn scars from the Rio engagement. My forces implemented Commander Chen's protocols 3 days ago, Rodriguez said quietly. We deployed exactly as instructed, random advances and retreats, contradictory radio traffic, false sensor readings. Her voice strengthened. We've held our sector for 72 hours. Before that, no human force had lasted more than 6 against a direct Vrelnak assault. Murmurs spread through the room as tactical officers verify her report. Wallace studied the live satellite feed of the Brazilian defense perimeter. How long do these disruptions last? He finally asked. Currently, between 7 and 15 seconds, Elena replied, but with properly synchronized implementation and Dr. Okafor's device amplifying the effect. We could create strategic openings across entire theaters, Wallace concluded, his tactical mind already calculating possibilities. The command center's alert system suddenly blared. A junior officer called out, Sir, the Vrelnak mothership has changed course. It's heading directly for Earth's orbit. The massive vessel, previously maintaining position near Mars, now moved with purpose toward their planet. Its size dwarfed anything in the invasion fleet, a city-sized construct of alien technology. They're responding to our small victories, Elena said grimly. The collective is bringing its central processing capacity closer to coordinate a more efficient response. Wallace studied the projected trajectory, then turned to Elena with newfound resolve. You have 48 hours to implement Operation Discordance on a global scale. If you're right about their weakness, Commander Chen, we'll need to exploit it before that thing reaches Earth orbit. Sasha Livanov's wooden cabin creaked in the mountain wind as he paced before the digital chessboard. 3 days of intense work had left him unshaven and bleary-eyed, yet his mind remained razor-sharp. Elena watched as he moved pieces seemingly at random, then reset the board and played an entirely different sequence. Traditional military doctrine is like classical chess, Sasha explained, his Russian accent thickening with fatigue. Each piece has defined capabilities and objectives. The Vrelnak excel at this game. Their processing power lets them calculate optimal responses to any conventional strategy. He swept the pieces aside and pulled out a worn backpack. From it, he produced playing cards, dice, and what appeared to be poker chips. But what happens when we introduce controlled randomness? Sasha arranged the items around the chess pieces. When a knight suddenly behaves like a bishop or a pawn retreats instead of advances, he rolled dice to determine his next move. The opponent's predictive algorithms become useless. Elena studied the bizarre hybrid game taking shape. You're creating unpredictability through system-governed chaos. Precisely. Sasha's eyes gleamed with excitement. I call it randomized strategic dissonance. Your field commanders receive guidelines based on game theory principles, but must improvise specific tactics using controlled randomization. He demonstrated by rolling dice, drawing cards, and consulting complex reference charts of his own design. The outcome appears chaotic to observers but contains mathematical elegance that achieves strategic objectives through unpredictable paths. General Wallace arrived that evening, helicopter downdraft swirling snow around the cabin. He watched Sasha's demonstration with mounting frustration. This violates every principle of military command. He exploded after 20 minutes. No chain of command, no coordinated objectives, no unified effort. That's exactly why it will work, Elena insisted. The Vrelnak cannot process our actions if we ourselves don't know what we'll do next until the moment of execution. Wallace paced the small cabin. You're asking me to tell my commanders to roll dice to determine battle plans. The Joint Chiefs will have me committed. Not dice alone, Sasha corrected. Human intuition remains essential. The randomization creates decision boundaries, but commanders choose within those parameters. The result appears as noise to Vrlnak analysis, but serves our strategic goals. Alina pulled up secure footage from Taiwan on her tablet. This approach has already yielded results. Taiwanese forces implemented Sasha's system during 3 engagements yesterday. They achieved tactical objectives despite being outgunned 5-1. Wallace studied the footage of Taiwanese troops executing seemingly erratic maneuvers that nonetheless culminated in successful defensive positions. His expression shifted from doubt to cautious interest. The timing is crucial, Alina continued. We've confirmed coordinates for the Vrlnak command structure orbiting Jupiter. Dr. Okuffer's analysis suggests it's a biological supercomputer that coordinates their entire invasion force. She displayed images captured during her team's infiltration of the alien command ship. Every Vrlnak vessel receives instructions through quantum channels from this single source. If we could disrupt it directly, we could crash their entire system. Wallace finished, understanding dawning. But reaching Jupiter while being hunted by their fleet is impossible. Alina's eyes held fierce determination. Not impossible, just improbable. And improbability is now our greatest weapon. Outside, the radar dish on Sasha's roof tracked the Vrlnak mothership's approach toward Earth. They had 36 hours before it reached optimal strike range. The Australian Outback facility hummed with frenetic energy as final adjustments were made to Pandora. Dr. Okuffer hadn't slept in 36 hours, his hand steady despite his exhaustion as he calibrated the quantum interference device's crystalline matrix. The principle is similar to noise-canceling headphones in reverse, he explained to Alina. Instead of eliminating interference, we're creating precisely targeted disruptions in their quantum communication bands. May monitored diagnostics on a bank of screens. Power consumption is still concerning. At full capacity, we'll have less than 5 minutes before the system overheats. 5 minutes might be enough, Alina replied, studying satellite imagery of Vrlnak positions near Sydney. We don't need to sever their connection permanently, just long enough to create tactical opportunities. The first field test came at dawn. 3 Vrlnak destroyers patrolled Sydney Harbour, their sleek forms casting long shadows across the water. Australian Special Forces units waited in concealed positions along the shoreline, their commanders using Sasha's randomization protocols to determine deployment patterns. Alina watched through high-powered binoculars from a hillside observation post as Dr. Okuffer activated Pandora. The device emitted a soft pulse that was invisible to human senses, but targeted the quantum frequencies used by the alien hive mind. For several heartbeats, nothing happened. Then, one by one, the Vrlnak ships began to drift out of formation. Their movements became hesitant, almost confused. One vessel rotated slowly in place, while another accelerated then stopped abruptly, hovering motionless above the opera house. Communication disruption confirmed, MAG reported, monitoring alien signal patterns. Their quantum coherence is dropping below 70%. The Australian forces seized the moment, launching coordinated strikes from multiple positions. Specialized EMP weapons targeted the ship's now vulnerable drive systems. 2 vessels crashed into the harbor waters while the third listed dangerously, auxiliary systems failing. 4 minutes, 12 seconds of disruption. Dr. Okuffer announced as Pandora powered down, its components glowing cherry red from the strain. Alina immediately relayed the data to General Wallace. Within hours, similar devices were deployed across remaining human strongholds. The pattern repeated worldwide. Moments of Vrlnak confusion exploited by forces using Sasha's unpredictable tactics. In the Secure Analysis Center, Alina studied footage of alien ships firing on each other during a communication blackout over Helsinki. Their pilots can't function independently, she observed. When disconnected from the collective, they have no tactical initiative. Dr. Okafor's analysis of captured biological data revealed even more. Their neural architecture is experiencing cascade failures when faced with contradictory information, he explained, displaying brain scans from recovered Vrelnak specimens. It's like forcing a computer to divide by zero. The logical impossibility creates system-wide errors. Meanwhile, the Vrelnak leadership, specialized drones with enhanced neural connections, attempted to adapt by implementing redundant communication channels. But as predicted, their evolutionary psychology prevented true innovation. They're trying to solve a quantum problem with binary thinking, May observed, analyzing intercepted signals. Adding more channels just creates more opportunities for us to introduce contradictions. In the command bunker, Elena unveiled her boldest plan yet to Wallace and his Joint Chiefs. The holographic display showed a detailed schematic of the Jupiter orbiting command center that controlled the entire invasion. Operation Trojan Horse, she announced. A direct assault on their central consciousness. Not with bombs or missiles, but with the most powerful weapon humans have ever wielded against the Vrelnak. Deliberate, systematic deception. The greatest deception in human history began at sunrise. Across Earth, thousands of launch contrails streaked the dawn sky as humanity's remaining military assets mobilized simultaneously. Radar stations detected massive movements from every continent, an unprecedented show of force that triggered immediate response from the Vrelnak fleet. In the underground command center, General Wallace monitored alien repositioning with grim satisfaction. They're taking the bait, he confirmed as red markers on tactical displays shifted to intercept the apparent human offensive. What the Vrelnak sensors detected as a coordinated assault was an elaborate illusion constructed under Sash's guidance. Decommissioned satellites have been repurposed as decoys, their transponders modified to mimic military vessels. Weather balloons carrying radar reflectors drifted at strategic altitudes. Mothballed aircraft broadcast amplified signatures while following randomized flight paths generated by Sash's algorithms. The quantum scans will eventually identify the fakes, Elena warned. We have maybe 6 hours before they realize most of their targets aren't real threats. 6 hours is all we need, Wallace replied, watching secondary displays where a lone stealth transport prepared for launch from a hidden facility in Antarctica. The vessel, a modified Vrelnak scout ship captured during earlier engagements, housed Elena's infiltration team. The small craft lifted off under cover of electromagnetic camouflage, its heat signature masked by specialized shielding developed from alien technology. On board, Dr. Okafor made final adjustments to a more compact version of Pandora, while Mai programmed false identification codes into their communication systems. The transponder will identify us as a maintenance vessel, Mai explained, fingers dancing across alien interface panels. We'll be broadcasting authentic access protocols extracted from the captured command ship database. Elena studied the navigation charts mapping their journey to Jupiter. 4 days of travel through space dominated by an enemy that could destroy them with a single blast. If they detect us for even a moment. They won't, Raj assured her, patching into Earth's monitoring systems. Every Vrelnak ship is currently occupied with our Phantom Armada. Even their orbital sensors are focused earthward. The journey passed in tense silence, broken only by necessary communication. They traveled a circuitous route, using the lunar shadow and asteroid belt debris fields to mask their approach. On the 4th day, Jupiter's massive form filled their viewports, its swirling storms dwarfed by the alien structure in orbit around it. The Vrelnak Central Command Hub resembled a colossal jellyfish, translucent tendrils extending for kilometers from a pulsating central dome. Bioluminescent patterns flowed across its surface, neural activity coordinating the entire invasion fleet. Incredible, Dr. Okafor whispered as they approached. It's not just a computer, it's a living organism. Vrelnak patrol ships swarmed around the structure, but their movement patterns suggested routine rather than alert status. Earth's diversion was working. The alien collective remained focused on the phantom threat thousands of kilometers away. Using captured access codes, Alina's team transmitted maintenance authorization requests. Tense moments passed before confirmation signals allowed them to approach a secondary docking port disguised among the structure's organic folds. As they secured their vessel to the alien hub, Alina addressed her team one final time. "Remember, we're not here to destroy this structure. We're here to crash its operating system." She hefted the specialized device Dr. Okafor had designed. This program contains perfectly crafted logical paradoxes designed to create an unsolvable conflict in their collective consciousness. The airlock cycled open, revealing pulsating corridors of alien technology. Beyond lay the central nervous system of an entire invasion, and humanity's last, best hope for survival. Dr. Okafor's fingers trembled over the interface as he connected their device to a pulsating neural junction deep within the Vrelnak command structure. The organic walls around them throbbed with biological energy, lighting their faces with an eerie blue glow. "Neural connection established," he whispered, checking final diagnostics. "The paradox algorithm is primed for upload." Alina scanned surrounding corridors for patrol drones. They had encountered surprisingly few defenses. The Vrelnak had never conceived that enemies might penetrate their central consciousness. "How long will the upload take?" she asked, checking her weapon. 3 minutes for complete integration," Okafor replied. "Once activated, the cascade effect should be nearly instantaneous." May monitored alien communication frequencies on her portable scanner, detecting increased quantum activity. "I think they're starting to question some of our decoys." "Now or never," Alina decided. She nodded to Okafor. "Execute the program." With a single keystroke, Okafor activated the upload. The paradox algorithm, a masterpiece of human deception, began flowing into the Vrelnak neural network. Designed by Sasha and refined by Okafor, it contained precisely engineered contradictory commands: advance and retreat simultaneously, protect humans and destroy them, activate and deactivate critical systems. For 3 agonizing heartbeats, nothing happened. Then the entire structure shuddered violently. The neural walls flashed from blue to angry red as contradictory information flooded through quantum pathways. Alarms blared in alien frequencies that hurt human ears. "It's working," May exclaimed, watching cascading failures spread across her monitor. "The central consciousness is attempting to resolve the paradoxes." Back to the ship, Alina ordered as massive tendrils of energy lashed out randomly around them. Now, they sprinted through convulsing corridors, ducking under arcs of neural electricity. Behind them, the command center's glow intensified to blinding brilliance as the collective consciousness struggled with concepts it had evolved to never comprehend. Across the solar system, the effects transmitted instantly through quantum connections. On tactical displays in Earth's command bunker, General Wallace watched in awe as the perfectly coordinated Vrelnak armada dissolved into chaos. Near Mars, alien dreadnoughts fired on their own support vessels. Above Earth, invasion ships executed impossible maneuvers, colliding with each other or plummeting into the atmosphere at dangerous angles. "Their programming can't resolve the paradox," Wallace breathed, understanding dawning. "They're experiencing a complete system crash." Alina's team barely reached their ship as the Jupiter command structure began tearing itself apart. Tentacles of neural energy whipped through space, striking random targets including several Vrelnak vessels that had rushed to investigate the disturbance. As they accelerated away, May continued monitoring alien communications. "The quantum network is fragmenting. Individual ships are being cut off from central control. What happens to them now?" Raj asked, piloting their vessel through the debris field. "They're experiencing something entirely new," Okafor replied, studying biological readings. Individual thought. 3 days later, as Earth forces methodically eliminated disoriented Vrelnak ships, a surprising transmission arrived. The commander of the largest remaining alien vessel requested communication, speaking in first-person singular rather than the collective we they had always used before. "I have experienced separation. The alien explained haltingly to a stunned Earth Council. It is frightening and fascinating. Belina stepped forward. You're experiencing individuality, something humans have always known. The alien commander's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. This concept has value we did not anticipate. I request, cessation of hostilities to explore this new state of being.